Do you want to create infographic presentations, build real-time dashboards, automate research, design websites, generate code, and analyze data in minutes using nothing but text? That's exactly what we'll cover in my new series, Mastering GenAI. We kick things off today with prompt engineering, and by the end of this video, you'll have a simple but powerful framework for writing expert-level prompts. And we won't stop at theory. We'll put it to work, generating entire slide decks from layout to design. Experts say AI will be smarter than any human by 2030, and up to 80% of the jobs could be either replaced or be radically transformed by AI. So here's the fork in the road. Will AI replace you, or will you harness it to 10x your output, income, and impact? Because we're going to cover all things Gen AI: prompt engineering, smart workflows, autonomous AI agents, etc. Today's episode will focus on the basics of prompt engineering. Think of prompts as the new programming language. In fact, prompt engineering is so powerful that it's now a real job. Sam Altman literally said so on camera.
And then there's other, and then in terms of like entirely new jobs, the first example we saw of that was prompt engineer. Before AI came along, there was no such thing as a prompt engineer.
There's a proven way to consistently write prompts that produce exceptional results. I call it the 7-component framework. First up, action. This is simply telling the exact task or goal you want the AI to accomplish for you. Always start with a clear action verb. Write, summarize, compare, generate, analyze. Think of it like giving instructions to your associate. The clearer your instructions, the less the AI has to guess, and the closer the output will be to what you actually want. One example would be, write a professional email persuading my supervisor to approve a budget increase for the new software. Next up, context. This is where most people go wrong. They give the AI a task, but forget to tell it what's really going on. You need to fully explain the background. Who's the audience? What's the situation? What platform are we posting on? When does this need to happen? The more context you provide, the better the output. In fact, researchers who reviewed over 1,500 papers found that simply adding more context to a prompt can boost accuracy by up to 40% on reasoning tasks. Think about it. Would you give your associate a vague request, like make a presentation? Or would you say, make a 5-slide presentation for tomorrow's client pitch? Showcase our new productivity app for startup founders. Highlight how it saves 10 hours a week. And explain how it seamlessly integrates with existing tools like Slack or Google Workspace, requiring zero learning curve for busy founders. The second one gets you way closer to what you actually want. Context turns generic into specific, and specific gets results. Third is role. This is about telling the AI who it should pretend to be when completing the task. Should it act like a recruiter, a senior marketer, a therapist, or even a fictional character like Batman? Why does this matter? Because the role changes the voice, the style, and the perspective of the response. Asking a marketer to write an email feels very different from asking a lawyer or a teacher. And role doesn't have to stop at persona. You can combine it with your specific expertise or style. For example, saying explain cloud computing is very different from saying explain cloud computing as if you were a kind, patient teacher reassuring a nervous student. See how it frames the answer before the AI even begins? The first 3 components we've covered, action, context, and role, are your must-haves. These 3 alone can completely transform your prompts from average to expert level. And if I rearrange them, you can simply remember them as C.A.R. Because if you've got C.A.R, your prompt is already heading in the right direction. The other 4 components we'll cover next are more like boosters. They are not necessary, but if you use them smartly, they make your prompts even sharper. So let's discuss the next one, output format. This is where you specify how exactly you want the AI's response to be structured. As a paragraph, bullet points, table, image, code, etc. The same output can look very different depending on its use. For example, text written for an Instagram post is very different from text written for an email or a LinkedIn update. Format helps you just copy paste the information directly without any extra cleanup. Fifth is tone. This is about how you want the AI to sound like. The words might be correct, but if the tone is off, the message falls flat. Do you want it to sound friendly and casual, like a Slack message? Or formal and authoritative, like a board report? Or maybe playful and witty, like a marketing campaign? Tone completely changes the vibe and how people respond to it. Some examples are: explain this concept in an enthusiastic TED Talk style, or write the response as a calm and empathetic therapist. Remember the prompt we looked at when discussing roles, in which we asked the AI to explain cloud computing like a patient teacher? We can make it even more powerful by adding a specific tone to it, like use simple, everyday language and relatable analogies to make the concept easy and comforting to understand. It will take the same information from a dry and technical explanation to a warm and approachable one. Sixth is restrictions. These are the guardrails you set for the AI: word count, time limits, things to avoid, or any must have criteria. For example, keep it under 100 words, or no jargon or acronyms, or fact check all statistics and cite sources. Restrictions prevent the AI from going off track and make the result instantly usable. And last, but definitely not the least, examples. If you want the AI to match a very specific style, just showing one or two examples can instantly shift the quality. Humans learn by example, and so do AI models. So provide sample posts, articles, emails as much as necessary. Instead of just saying write 3 motivational tweets, say here are 3 motivational tweets I like. Short, punchy, and ending with a call to action. Write 3 more in a similar style. There you have it, all 7 components. Now if I shuffle them, it becomes super easy to memorize them. Just remember the mnemonic creator, because that's what prompts do anyway, create. Now how do you actually put them together when writing prompts? Here's the simplest way. Use this template. It's like a fill in the blanks cheat sheet you can just copy and tweak for any situation. You don't have to use every single part every time. For smaller tasks, just remember C.A.R. Context, action, role. That's your lightweight version. But when accuracy and quality really matter, go full creator mode and use all 7 components. Once you practice this a few times, it will become second nature to you. Time to put this in practice. Imagine you need to make a one-slide sales pitch to the CFO of a large company about a new FP&A platform. Most people would start with a simple prompt like this. Now let me go to ChatGPT and try to run it to see what happens. See the problem? We wanted a beautiful slide, but what we got is a wall of generic text. That's because we never told the AI what format we needed it in and didn't provide it enough context. Now let's go one by one and add all 7 components to the prompt and see how that changes the result. Let's start with role. Right now, the AI doesn't know who is speaking. Are we a junior analyst or the head of the project? The voice you choose completely changes the style of the message. So let's make it clear. We are the senior partner at a top tier consulting firm. That will instantly make it more authoritative and credible. Next, we need context. The background details that help the AI craft something relevant. So we tell it that you are pitching it to the CFO of a large multinational organization. We also provided information on what makes this platform special. It streamlines budgeting, forecasting, and reporting within Excel. It consolidates data from multiple sources into one reliable system. It reduces errors and enables real-time dashboard, scenario modeling, and collaborative workflows. It also has an AI chatbot that provides instant data-driven answers. Another thing that we share is what the CFO values: strategic insight, efficiency, and implementation use. Now the AI understands the why behind the sales pitch, not just the what. We have provided the AI the role and the context, but we still haven't told it how we want it to sound like. That's where tone comes in. Personally speaking, if I were the senior partner, I wouldn't want it to sound too salesy. I would want it to be more authentic. And I wouldn't just focus on the practical value, but also highlight the emotional benefits. Now look at our revised prompt. It doesn't just describe what to say, but also how to say it. Now let's add the next 3 components. Our output format is layout. At this point, we are asking ChatGPT to generate the layout for the presentation. Restriction is 4 ideas. So we're asking it to generate 4 ideas for layouts and for a one-page presentation. So those are our restrictions, and generating it is the action. Now at this point, we are not asking the AI to generate the presentation straight away. We will ask it to create a layout for our presentation first and then get it designed in a separate prompt. And that's extremely important. Never should you ever try to make the AI do several things at the same time if you want to avoid confusion. Splitting the tasks into subtasks is an important concept which I will cover in subsequent videos. And one major benefit of splitting tasks is that you can use different tools for each subtask, the one that's best suited for that particular task. For example, I find ChatGPT to be the best when it comes to creating ideas, but when it comes to design, I prefer Gamma.app or Copilot. And ideally, we should have even split this task into two subcomponents, one for content generation and the other for layout, but I don't want to make this video too long. And finally, in this particular case, I am not using examples because I'm asking ChatGPT to come up with a layout. If I had wanted to use a layout of my own, I would have just provided that as a sample. Alright, let's run it now. As you can see, it has already generated those 4 layouts, layout 1, layout 2, layout 3. Let's read some of these layouts. Layout 1 is talking about a day in the life transformation, and basically it's comparing today's reality with tomorrow's reality. So that's like a good emotional hook. Let's see what it has created in the other layouts. Here it's saying 3 shifts every strategic finance leader is making. So probably here it's trying to capitalize on the fear of missing out, that hey, this is what every other finance leader is doing, and if you don't do this, you're gonna get left behind. Let's see what else is out there. Executive outcomes on page 1. So that's layout 3. And it's also talking about some of the similar stuff like sharper forecast, faster, stronger business partnering, and quick timeline. Remember, we had mentioned that it's one of the very important criteria for the CFO. So as you can see that it has generated pretty good ideas. I think it has generated all 4. Yeah, 4 if finance could work like this. Yeah, so the ideas are pretty good. Is it perfect yet? Maybe not, but it's much better than the generic prompt we had used for the first time. There are many other advanced techniques to make it even better, such as iteration. Now, you don't want to take the first output that comes out. You want to work on it to improve it. Then there are other techniques like ensuring ChatGPT has all the context it needs. At the moment, how do we know that we've given it all the context it needs? Or how do we highlight certain parts of the prompt like we do in bold or italics with human? Or confirming that the bot has understood the requirements correctly, or it has done self-reflection and self-critique. We will cover all of these advanced techniques in subsequent videos, but for now, let's run with it. Of the 4 layouts, let's pick one. I'll maybe pick layout number 2, and I'll head over to Gamma.app. It's a great website for building powerful presentations with just a few clicks. One downside is that it's not completely free. You get some free credits for free in the beginning, but then you need to upgrade, but don't worry. I'll also show you a completely free method using Microsoft Copilot, and we will just make some minor tweaks to it. But especially remember that if you're working with paid tools, it's extremely important to be thorough in prompts because each turn is going to cost you credits. So first let me use Gamma.app, which is a paid version, and then we will do it in Microsoft Copilot. So let's go back to our prompt and make a few changes. First, I want to change the action because now we actually want to design the slide. So let me go here and ask it to create a one-page presentation for tomorrow's pitch. The second change that I'm going to make is to ask it to use the following layout. And now I'll head over to ChatGPT and I'll copy layout 2. Maybe until here, I don't need the emotional and practical anchors. I will copy this, go back to the prompt and just add the prompt here. And maybe I will remove this layout 2. Okay, our prompt is ready. Time to head over to Gamma.app to make use of our prompt. Let's click on create new, click on generate, and let's give it the prompt that we had just created. And I will change the number of cards to 1 because we're just creating one slide. Let me scroll down and clicked on edit prompt. So now it has already filled out some valuable information like who are we writing it for CFO of a multinational company. So let's change it to company, CFO of a multinational company, even though it was okay the way it was as well. And the tone should be confident, strategic, and empathetic. Uh, I will again change it back to a single card. So I think I'm happy with it. I will just click on the generate button and let it do its magic. Now you can see that it's creating the slides and the text is the same. It's creating those 3 columns that were there in the layout. Let's adjust the zoom settings a bit. And I see that it's not in its traditional 16:9 orientation. So let's change that. So Gamma has some pretty useful functions. For example, you can just directly edit the slides here. If I wanted to add something here, I would just type here. So yeah, you get the point. And you can also add a lot of other stuff to these slides. For example, if I go here to smart layouts and maybe I include solid boxes, then yeah, you can have these 3 boxes here. But at the moment, let's just stick to what we already had. Some of the other cool features is that you can change the theme. For example, you can change it to a dark theme, but I actually don't like dark themes. I like light themes because then you can just export it, and most companies original templates are white or whitish, so it blends very well if you want to export it or if you want to use it in your company's own template. You can also add slides here, new slides, add other stuff, and even if you don't generate these slides using AI, it's still a pretty valuable tool for creating presentations. So anyway, I'll just delete the extra slide that I had created and I will just go and export this slide and export to PDF. Sorry, export to PowerPoint. Now let's open it in PowerPoint. But let's imagine that you have to make this slide on your company's template. So let's just say that you work for company ABC and this is their template. In that case, I'll just delete the existing placeholders. Go back to our original slide. Copy everything from here and come back and paste it on our company's template. Now, even though we had the option to make changes in Gamma.app, but you can also make changes here. If you want to change this 60% to 80%, you can do that, or maybe 42% to 45%. The other thing that I've noticed is that the fonts are a bit smaller. So I'm just going to go and start increasing the fonts. I can increase the font size of the subheading, the heading, the text, maybe the footer as well. And let's also make it center aligned and bold. Let's also increase the font for the column headers. The heading for the third column has gone on 2 lines. So I'll maybe change it to from finance alone to collaborative. And let me also align the picture and the text with the other 2 columns. So now, yeah, we are ready with the slide. It's pretty visually appealing. It's infographic. You can experiment with different types of designs, layouts, etc. and use whatever works best for you. That was our use of Gamma.app. Now let's move on to the free alternatives. And for that, I'll use Microsoft Copilot. So let me head back to the prompt and I'll add this paragraph where I'm asking it to generate the image on a 16:9 canvas, set background as white, and use solid colors for text boxes, not gradients. Using solid colors is important if you want to be able to edit it later. And for layout, let's head back to ChatGPT and maybe use another layout this time. Last time we used layout 2, this time maybe let's use layout 3. And again, I'll leave the emotional and practical anchors. Now let's come back to our prompt and let's update it with the new layout. And maybe let's change this to the title of the slide. Great. Now let's copy the whole thing and run it with Microsoft Copilot. When you're using Microsoft Copilot, I recommend that you use the best model available, which in this case is GPT-5, especially if you're working on a complex task. So yeah, let's run it now. It's thinking and generating the output. So I'll just fast forward this part. Wow, just look at this. How cool, how amazing this slide looks. But even though as cool as it looks, there is a problem. It's an image form, which means it's not editable. Now, even though it is possible to provide the exact text in the prompt, so you don't have to manually change the text, but most people do need to send the presentation to their colleagues or supervisors for review and would want to give them the flexibility to make changes. So I have a quick fix workaround, or jugaad as we call it in our language, to make that happen. So let's download the image. Then let's open it in Paint. And if the background is white, you can just select the text and simply delete it. If the background is any other color, you can just, maybe let me zoom in a bit for more precision. Just select the area and drag it across and you're done. That's where the advantage of using a solid color becomes clear. With gradient colors, you cannot do that. Now let me simply bring this template over to PowerPoint. Here in PowerPoint, you can start creating your personal text boxes and type whatever you want to type. Now, I know it's not as smooth as the paid version, but it's the best free workaround I know at the time of making this video. Generate content on one hand and the design with no text on the other. And then just add the text boxes over it because it gives you full control over both the content and the design. Most free AI presentation tools create generic 10-20 slides based on a single prompt, which can be quite worthless for most professionals. But before we wrap up today, let's quickly talk about using examples, because so far we've covered 6 out of the 7 components in the framework, but we haven't touched upon examples yet. To show you what I mean, I'm going to pull up an earlier conversation I had with Copilot from my chat history. In this chat, I gave it a sample slide and asked it to style the new slide based on that example. And as you can see, it did a pretty good job. Maybe not 100% match in terms of the layout, but is spot on when it comes to styling and color scheme. I hope you liked today's video. We just went from a vague one-liner to a polished designer-style presentation by using our simple 7-component framework. A systematic prompting approach saves time, reduces frustration, and gets you the results you need. And here's the wild part. This is just the tip of the iceberg. In upcoming videos, we'll be diving into more advanced techniques like prompt scaffolding, Socratic prompting, iteration, multi-model prompting, chain of thought, tree of thought, etc., which will turn you into a prompting genius. So remember, don't fear AI, steer AI. Bye-bye. Do you want to create infographic presentations, build real-time dashboards, automate research, design websites, generate code, and analyze data in minutes using nothing but text? That's exactly what we'll cover in my new series, Mastering GenAI. We kick things off today with prompt engineering, and by the end of this video, you'll have a simple but powerful framework for writing expert-level prompts. And we won't stop at theory. We'll put it to work, generating entire slide decks from layout to design. The single most valuable skill of the decade isn't investing, marketing, or data science. It's knowing how to ask to make AI work for you. Experts say AI will be smarter than any human by 2030, and up to 80% of the jobs could be either replaced or be radically transformed by AI. So here's the fork in the road. Will AI replace you, or will you harness it to 10x your output, income, and impact?